Hey people who read, my name is Marley and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. In this week's video, as you can see from the title, I am taking on a challenge, and this definitely will be a challenge. I am going to try reading books that I think I will hate. I don't know if this is an original concept. I feel like I must have thought of it because I saw other people do videos like this. But basically, I decided to do this because I have some books on my TBR that I genuinely do want to read, but I just don't think I'm actually going to like them. I feel like all of us kind of have those books, like maybe we want to read it because so many other people think it's good, or it's from an author we've previously liked, or things like that. So there's a very big chance that I may end up DNFing any of these books. This might be a total failure, but I'm hoping that this video topic will force me to read some books that I've kind of been putting off and I'm kind of scared to read for a couple different reasons. So the first book I'm going to start with is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the third book in the Brown Sisters trilogy. They are all adult romances that follow a different sister and their love story. So Get a Life, Chloe Brown is the first one, and it was so hyped up for me. It was one of the first really popular romance books during the pandemic, I would say, like once I got really into booktube again. And so when I read it, it just could not meet my expectations. It was not what I expected due to the male point of view, which I realized I don't like, and due to how spicy it was, and I realized I don't really like spice. However, then I read the second book, Take a Hint, Dani Brown, and I actually did really like that book, and I didn't have those same problems with it. So for the third and final book, I really don't know which way it's gonna go. I've heard people say it is their favorite of the three, and I've heard people say it is their least favorite of the three, and I don't really know who I can trust with that. So I actually did start this last night. I'm not very far through it yet, so I can't really speak on it, but it doesn't seem too bad so far. But I'm a little nervous that the couple's gonna get together too quick or something. Next up, I wanna read Zodiac Academy, the first book, which I think is called Awakening. Can't remember the authors right now, but it'll be on the screen. This is an indie published fantasy romance book. That whole genre is really booming right now, especially on TikTok. People are really loving the fantasy romances. I haven't really been reading them, like I haven't read From Blood and Ash or any of those kind of things. And it's for a reason, because again, I don't really like spicy books. But this one has Zodiac in the title, and I am an astrology girl. I was immediately drawn to it when I saw that it had to do with zodiac signs. So that's why I've kind of been eyeing it. If you don't know, it is, I think, about fairies. I think it has a lot of different mystical creatures in it, but predominantly fairies, and they are sorted into different zodiacs at this school based on when they were born, and I think they all have like different powers based on which zodiac they fall in. So that sounds like a really fun concept. I love fantasy, like fairies, vampires, werewolves, all that stuff, and obviously I love the zodiac signs. However, I'm very scared that I won't like it, as I saw in the description that it is a bully romance, and I don't like bully romances. And the fact that it's indie published, I just haven't had the most luck with those, with the few that I've read. So very nervous about this one. And the last book is Eldest by Christopher Paolini. Oh, frick, I don't know how to say it. Paolini. This is the second book in the Aragon series. It is a high fantasy dragon fantasy series that I think is like middle grade or YA. I read the first book back when I was a young adolescent, like 12 or something, and I didn't really like it, so I never continued the series, but I own them, so I really want to continue. So that's the reason I want to continue the series, because I own them and I just want to like give it another chance. But obviously I think I'm gonna hate it because I hated the first one, and I hated the character Aragon. If you don't know, it's about this boy named Aragon. His name's Aragon, not the dragon's name. And basically he finds this dragon egg which ends up hatching, and so then he's kind of like destined to be a dragon rider. And it's this whole typical like quest story in the first book. I actually had to go back and read the summary of the first book because I don't really remember. So that also might hinder my reading experience, but I'm not rereading that one. I'm just gonna hop into this and see how it goes. So hopefully this is an entertaining vlog. Whether I hate these books, that's always funny, or if I end up loving them, that would be a real treat, a real pleasant surprise. So I think I've chatted enough, I've introed this enough. Let's get into the vlog and see what I think over the next couple weeks, or however long this takes me to read. So I am 50% of the way through Eve Brown. It's actually really cute and I definitely enjoyed this first half. I do feel like I'm a little bit distracted due to like life stress right now. It's distracting me a little from the book. Sometimes I find myself tuning out, but what I'm retaining is good. Basically, we're following Eve Brown, the youngest sister, and her parents kind of make this ultimatum that she needs to hold down a job for a year because they're kind of like a rich family, but they're gonna stop giving her money until she actually finds a career, holds down a career, finds her own place to live, and just kind of acts her age. She's like in her later 20s, I think. She's tried out a lot of different jobs, so it's kind of interesting because she's acquired a lot of different skills because of that, but nothing seems to go well. She recently planned this wedding and it didn't really go well. So she's sort of just driving by and she sees this not Airbnb, but this B&B is hiring a chef, and she just walks in and is like, I want to interview for this. The interviewer, the guy who owns the B&B, is Jacob, and they immediately butt heads. They're very opposite. He's very, I guess, strict with rules and stuff like that, and Eve is a lot more carefree. Always love that dynamic in a couple. Yeah, the interview does not go well, but they're so desperate to hire someone that he goes to try and find her after the interview, and then she ends up actually hitting him with her car. So then she kind of feels like she owes him, and she ends up kind of accepting the job as a chef and also just helping him run the B&B until he's better. And it's very cute. As I said, I really like that dynamic of the opposites attract thing. Grumpy sunshine trope, the kind of enemies to lovers. They're not really enemies, but whenever they dislike each other, it's easier to call it that, right? So it's actually going well. It is, as they're starting to develop romantic feelings for each other though, they're starting to use some like sexual terms. Oh, she doesn't like that, which I don't really love. So I'm a little nervous it's gonna start getting spicy now for the second half, but at least for the first half, it's good. Oh my gosh, it's going well. I just finally finished Actor Age Eve Brown. This was a good book. I definitely didn't hate it. So in terms of like the theme of the video, I didn't hate it. I think when rating the Brown sister books, I would say Dani Brown's my favorite, then Eve, then Chloe. I did quite like this one. I don't think I mentioned there is a lot of like autism rep in this book, which was cool. Basically both of the main characters end up identifying like on the spectrum. So if you like reading about that, you should check out this book. As I said, I think the dynamic between Eve and Jacob was cute. There definitely was like a spicy section that I didn't love, but it was kind of all grouped together in the middle. So once you got past that, you know, you're past it. I will say though, the like end of the book drama that always happens was kind of annoying in this book, similar to Chloe Brown. I don't remember what it was in Dani Brown or if it was as annoying, but just that miscommunication very easily could have been avoided drama. But yeah, overall cute book. I think I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. So decent. I don't know if I'll start the next book today or not because there's other stuff I have to do. I might go for a walk because it's really nice out today. You can't see. But yeah, one book down and it was okay. It was nice. This is her new water fountain. Will she drink from it? Hey guys, sorry there's like no b-roll in this vlog, but that is life, you know. I've been reading the Zodiac Academy. I'm 33% through, so like a third. I was gonna wait till the halfway point, but honestly, I'm just gonna update now. This book is something. So we'll start with the plot. So we're following these twin girls, Darcy and Tori. They're like 18 and they've been in the foster system basically their whole lives, and they have sort of that typical foster kid story, you know, that we see all the time, and they really had to like hustle for everything, and they've dealt with a lot of like bad foster homes and stuff like that, and they were just recently like kicked out because they like aged out of the system, right? They end up getting like approached / stalked by this man who tells them randomly that they are the heirs to this magical throne. Their parents were fairies and they are changelings. So if you're familiar with fairy lore, that's where like you change some fairy babies with human babies. So their parents had put them into the human world and taken the human babies and brought them into like the fairy world. Anyways, their parents also have died, so they are the heirs to the throne, and they are going to be brought to the Zodiac Academy, which is a school in this magical world. And basically, to gain their inheritance and potentially gain the throne, they have to like successfully graduate the school. Classic kind of fantasy intro, right? Definitely a fun premise. And as I think I said at the beginning, this school sort of divided based on the zodiac sign. So there's like fire, air, water, and earth. And of course the twins get tested for like what their affinity is for, even though they are Geminis, which is an air sign, but they end up having all 4 powers. A little spoiler alert, but you know, classic like chosen one, they are more special than everyone kind of thing. So it is up to them to like choose which section they're gonna go into. And it's essentially them learning about their powers and meeting these different people. I'm a little bit confused about some of it because they're fairies, but like there's also vampires at the school. There was a unicorn or Pegasus. There's a bunch of different stuff going on. My issue with it is that I'm reading it and sometimes I feel like I'm reading my own writing in that it's not like the best. Like I used to write stories when I was younger, right? I would like to get back into writing, but when I used to write and then I would go back and read my old stories, that is what this book reminds me of. Which again, I said it's indie published, that's why it's in this video. Like I didn't think I was gonna like it because of that. Definitely there's just something off with the writing. Then there's like the problematic element. Which again, this is because I don't read bully romances, but essentially the people who are ruling this world now are these 4 different families. There are these 4 men or boys, whatever, called the heirs, like heir to the throne. And they are the ones that are gonna inherit the throne if these 2 girls didn't come in here and mess it up. So they all hate them because they want to be the heirs to the throne. And they are all so rude to Tori and Darcy. And not just that, like they straight up are bullying hardcore, like putting these girls in danger. And this is whatever, minor spoiler, but like one of them's a vampire and he literally just can't stop biting the one girl. Like totally against her will, no consent, he bites her neck and gets power from her. And it makes me really uncomfortable. It feels like an assault and it's really uncomfortable. And I don't know how I could ever ship any of this, but it's kind of confusing because all the men are so mean to them. I don't even know who the love interest is going to be for each of them. They kind of are attracted to all these guys because they're all hot guys, but like they're all really evil so far. So definitely interested in seeing how this is going to develop, but like I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable. There's a couple other things where they're like kind of getting sexually assaulted by these other people and it's just really uncomfortable for me. So there's that. Not my favorite book. Not my favorite book to start, but I'm still gonna continue it because of the reasons I started it. This whole Zodiac Academy thing I think is a fun idea, and I kind of want to just see more of that and kind of just see what other ridiculousness happens and even see like who are the actual love interests in this story, because I don't even know yet. So I think that's all to mention about this book. I'll check in later either when I finish it or if something else really interesting happens. So I just wanted to read a couple quotes from the latest chapter of Zodiac Academy that I read. We have, "You can be assured that I have zero interest in any vampire feeding from me, but if I do decide to let a man put his mouth on me, I won't be asking permission from you for it. You don't own me." "Wrong," Caleb says darkly. "I claimed you, which makes you mine. You're bonded, you and I." Blah, blah, blah. Then she eventually goes, "Fine, bite me then if you have to." He goes, "It's not as much fun if you just accept it willingly." Anyways, there's a lot of that going on. It's just unreal to me that there's people who like this. This is so disturbing to me. Anyways, I just wanted to quickly pop in here, but this is really hard for me to read. There's so much non-consensual acts happening against these girls. It's just really messed up. Hey guys, so it's Friday morning. I finished The Awakening, the first Zodiac Academy book, last night. Thank freaking God. I was suffering through that book and I'm giving it 1.5 stars. That is easily the lowest I've ever rated a book. I don't DNF too often, but when I have, I consider those kind of like 1 stars if I've DNF'd it. So the fact that I didn't DNF this one, I feel like it's like 1.5 stars, like a little higher, right? But like it was really rough for me, and I'm so grateful to be done that book. So let's get into it a little bit. I know I didn't do too many updates throughout, and I definitely could have because I had a lot of thoughts. One of the things that disappointed me was the magic system that was put in place. As you guys know, I was really excited for the Zodiac astrology elements of this book, and I feel like that didn't deliver for me enough. They didn't talk about Zodiac signs that much. There were a couple mentions of like a character being a Libra, which I'm a Libra, but like he was a trash character, so that was kind of upsetting. Although Libra men, we can't really trust them anyways. But they just didn't really talk about the signs that much, and they did talk a little bit more about the elements like fire, air, earth, water, but again, don't feel like that was fleshed out enough either. I'm kind of jealous. Like, I kind of want to write a fantasy series rooted in astrology. Like, I kind of want to take that idea and like do it better, or even read someone else that does it better. Honestly, do they have it copyrighted, or like can other people do that? Because I think it would be cool to see it done in a different way and like in a better way. I also want to note that when I explained the plot and the magic system before, I definitely didn't explain it properly. So for any like fans of the books that happen to be watching this, like I just want to recognize like I didn't explain it properly at the beginning because I didn't fully understand it at that point. I don't even know if I want to like properly explain it. I feel like you can kind of get the gist, but I don't really want to get into it because I don't recommend this book. I really don't. So we just won't get into that. Obviously, my biggest issue was the non-consensual acts that were just constantly being done to Darcy and Tori. It wasn't just the few times that I mentioned it in the vlog. Like, it was constant. And when they say bully romance, like, they're not kidding. Like, they are getting bullied so hard to the point where they're almost getting killed. Like, it's not just light bullying. Like, it's very intense with all of their love interests. I might have mentioned this, but they have multiple love interests, and it's very hard to kind of keep them separated in your brain. Like, it's hard to remember who they are, what their power is, what their order is, which their order is what like creature they are. So being a vampire, like that's their order, for example. Keeping track like which element they are, because you're an element, you're an order, you're a zodiac sign, like, and they don't always line up. I just feel like it's too many things. Like, just make them be, oh, this is your order, or oh, this is your zodiac sign. Like, don't make it be, oh, you have a zodiac sign, you have an element, and then you have an order. Like, it was ridiculous. So it's hard to keep those characters straight, but end of the day, like, they're all trash anyways, and they were constantly like assaulting these girls and being just absolutely cruel to them. I was very uncomfortable, and the girls would like, they would hate them, right? They're literally saying, please stop doing this to me. I don't want you to be biting me or touching me. But then sometimes they would be like, oh, he's not that bad. There was a line I should have filmed when I read it, but it was like, oh, I guess he's not that bad. Like, he's just biting me and hunting me. Like, that's pretty bad. Like, it was just ridiculous. And I'm sure some people like this. Obviously, it's rated highly on Goodreads, but if you're someone who doesn't like bully romances typically, like, don't read this. Don't. Like, it's really rough, and I'm honestly shocked. I don't want to insult anyone, but I'm honestly shocked that people are into this. That being said, I might take a little break from this vlog just so I don't go into a reading slump. I might like sneak in a little like fun thriller that I am confident I'm gonna enjoy before I get into my final book, because it's rough out here. Like, I'm already stressed in my life, and these reading plans are not helping. So hopefully this gave you some insight. I guess it's kind of good. Like, what if I filmed a video that was like reading books I think I'll hate, and then I liked all of them? That wouldn't really be fun. That wouldn't be what you'd expect. So we had a book that was okay and one that was absolutely not. Look at this snow. I don't know if you can tell. We literally were just having some beautiful days, and now the snow has returned. This is what living in Canada is like. god. There was a little summary of Aragon at the start of this book, which is really helpful for me as I read the first book like over 10 years ago. Unfortunately, I was almost falling asleep during that summary. It was only like 3 or 4 pages, and there's so much that happened in the first book. So many things that have complicated languages, like all those memes that you see on Book Talk of like starting a new sci-fi or fantasy book, and it's just like you don't understand anything. Yeah. I see that there's like a glossary thing at the back that explains some of the words, but this definitely will probably be rough. So wish me luck. Also painted my nails for St. Patrick's Day coming up. Hey there. It's been a few days since I did an update. I have been trying to read Eldest. Keyword trying. This is how much progress I've made. This is the start. I actually haven't even read that much the last couple of days just because I've been busy, but the thought of reading any more of this is honestly depressing. This book is not good, and so I think I'm going to DNF it. I am not very good at DNFing. I don't do it often, so it is hard for me. Like, a part of me thinks I might come back to this one day and read it, but at this point in time, I don't think there's a point. I'm not enjoying it. I don't think anyone would blame me. Like, no one's reading this book right now. It's so old. I don't think anyone would get offended by me saying this. It's very bad. It's very boring. It's very aimless right now. The plot is not interesting, and it's also not written in a way where it's very easy to understand. Like, I'm falling asleep. I don't fully grasp what's happening. I think Christopher here just liked creating weird names, and he really loved that aspect of writing. Like, there's sometimes where he just lists a bunch of characters and gives them the weirdest names, which I know is common in fantasy, but he'll introduce a bunch of characters. For example, on page 140, he'll go, they were Amma, Triga, Hedon, Exvar, Schurnigan, which Aragon found unpronounceable, though he was told it meant Wolfheart, Doothmare, and Thorv. Just a bunch of guards, and then they barely are even characters. It's like, don't even name them in that case. Like, why? And this happens multiple times where he'll just introduce a group of new characters and name them all like that, and it's a bunch of weird names. I don't really get who they are when you do that, and I don't know what the point is of having all these weird names. We also had a POV from not just Aragon, our main character, Dragon Rider boy, but also his cousin Roran. And I thought, oh, that might be the POV I'm more interested in. Like, I didn't like Aragon before, so maybe I'll like his cousin, and that can get me through. But he has a terrible storyline in this as well. These people are just trying to get a hold of him because he's related to Aragon, and he's just trying to evade them, but not very interesting. This is a series that was written by a 15-year-old boy. I assume he was not 15 when the second book came out. Maybe he was like 20 by then. But yeah, it's not giving what I wanted it to give, you know? So we do have a DNF in this video, which is not shocking considering I literally read books that I thought I was gonna hate. And looking back, yes, I did hate 2 of them, 2 of the 3. I did like Eve Brown. I thought it was like a decent romance, but definitely not one of my favorites. But you could read it if it sounds interesting to you. Definitely do not read do not read the Zodiac Academy, and do not read Eldest. I don't think anyone was going to. And that is going to end this video and this vlog. Hope you guys somewhat enjoyed it. Hope you will subscribe if you have not already, and like and comment and all that stuff as well. I would definitely appreciate it. And I'll see you in next week's video as always. Bye.